relatively close to being live.
Super good.
And show it to me. Show me the clock. There it is. I believe we are live. What's going on, everybody? I hope you're not sick of me yet. We're closing it out now. Third show of the day. It's a biggie. It's a biggie. Live before lock, Thursday, March 28th. 8-game slate. Baseball who today? Myself, Fast Eddie Fear. I'm going to walk through these final 8 games. How you feeling about this slate?
Great. I like it. I like it a lot.
We both. It has grown on me. I can do without like late scratches and stuff. We had like 2 or 3 like almost late scratches in baseball today.
Sounds dumb, but I want them still. Especially because everyone's paying attention to their baseball and shit. Like, you had that early baseball stuff, but any of the edge left in basketball, you do pick up a little bit from people just trying to manage a few sports at once, and you get more 655 scratches end up being owned. So kind of still think we net out positive on late shit. Like, if we get, Kyle Lowry will sit at 655, I think as a group we evolve better than in general. So I still want them, but I understand they're a pain in the ass, especially if you're playing like 100 lineups as opposed to say 0. I imagine there's a complication.
Sure. You mentioned Kyle Lowry there. So first and foremost, let's hit housekeeping. Live before locks is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you choose, including Fantasy Cruncher. And now baseball is active. NHL is still active. NBA is active. You'll never find a better time to join up with us. Pick an all-access package with Fantasy Cruncher, you get 50% off. Can't beat it. Also, shout out to Thrive Fantasy. They're the best people in the world. They keep me warm at night in a t-shirt that I get from Honor. The honor of destroying a colleague. Anyway, thank you.
As opposed to just doing it by what you say about us actually destroying a colleague.
Exactly.
Right.
Ooh, my wife's been leaving the garage door open. I just got my first alert on the new garage door opener. That's exciting.
Okay.
Anyway, you mentioned Kyle Lowry. Let's start in this dreadful Knicks Raptors game. We now have news. Kevin Knox is available to play. Dennis Smith Jr. also available to play, coming off of the bench. Is there anything at all on the New York Knicks that is appealing to you?
Mitchell Robinson on DK is a top 3 center for me.
Could not agree more. Wait, like on the slate or in this game?
On the slate.
Okay.
It's just price upside ownership, 4,400. I still have him for 25 minutes. The last DeAndre Jordan bullshit game was because of the fact that they were playing the Clippers, and they said as much. I can't get away from, expecting to see 25, 26 minutes of that guy with his production level at 4,400 on DK. So I'm a huge fan of him.
Yeah, he was actually someone that I was on quite a bit earlier today. The only reason that I don't have any follow-up questions or anything for you about it is I did not enter any DraftKings contests today because of baseball. I'm only on FanDuel today. So I have not updated anything that I've done. But I had quite a bit early, that $4,400. I mean, he's $2,000 cheaper than he is on FanDuel. It's ludicrous.
He's not unreasonably priced on FanDuel. Now, having probably close to the highest percentage of his fantasy points derived from blocks in the league, you would expect a greater than normal amount of separation between the FanDuel and DraftKings price, just because 50% more per block, which again is a big part of his scoring potential. But yeah, not that much.
No, you don't ever see that sort of split. That's pretty rare. So let's throw that Knicks team in the garbage for a second.
Yep.
We've got a Raptors team with no Kawhi Leonard. OG Anunoby is doubtful.
He's actually out. I think we got that.
Oh, is that official now? He switched to doubtful recently.
I think he's actually going to... Yes, he's out as of 5 minutes ago.
Perfect. OG Anunoby is out. How do you want to approach Toronto in a spot where I think their G League team might beat the Knicks?
Yeah, Knicks are bad. I will say for the Knicks, I don't have an issue with, especially on FanDuel, Mario Hezonja. I don't like him. There's other guys I would rather drop with there. I would much rather Derek Jones Jr. now.
Same.
But if I'm playing a pile of lineups, I would have some Mario. I don't have a problem with even Damian Dotson just because it seems most likely he's going to get his 36 minutes and take a metric butt ton of shots.
Yeah.
I don't want much. I'm going to want several members of the Heat before him now. But that's the other guy, if I saw in your tournament lineup, I wouldn't think, oh, that's a horrific mistake. But that's about it there. I mean, that's literally about where I would draw the line on this team.
Okay.
For Toronto, yeah. So I have some, concern that Lowry gets enough time here, either through just pure blowout, what we mean when we normally talk about it, or even just, the soft blowout where we don't get, I only am projected for 31 minutes.
I have him for 30.
Okay, I'm not shocked if, they're kicking him down a little. The minutes have obviously come down over the course of the year. He's a guy who's dealt with nagging injuries the whole year. Them putting the hammer on them, pretty heavily, and I don't know. Madison Square Garden, Lynn Sanity, let's give Jeremy a little extra time. Like, I have seen weirder things happen. I'll put it that way. So I'm still a huge Kyle Lowry fan. The Kyle Lowry without Kawhi Leonard thing is probably the trope I have yelled from the mountaintops most this entire year.
Yeah.
The price on Lowry is all the way down. If he gets 30 or 31 minutes, you have to think he gets 45 fantasy points or something, which is about his average with Kawhi not setting into account the Knicks.
It's going to be really hard for him to kill you at that price tag.
Right. So I like him a ton. It doesn't seem like his ownership, I didn't look at ownership for the last hour, was going to be out of like the 20s. So yeah, I'd want more of that just because floor feels pretty safe and ceiling does feel pretty sexy. So I would want a lot. Jeremy Lin, I'm mostly kidding. Van Vliet is going to be super chalky, I imagine, especially at the DK price. At FanDuel, I'd much rather pair Goran Dragic with Kyle Lowry now rather than go with, that sort of obvious negative correlation between those two guys and overstacking a game that has a real chance of turning sideways. So a little easier to get away from it there. DK, the prices are, so equitable. I don't have a problem running both of those guys in what's a brilliant matchup. Pascal, obviously 7,500 again. Sans Kawhi feels pretty delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I need to go with much Marc Gasol or Serge Ibaka, but it would be Gasol for me certainly first if I picked out of the two of those guys. And Anunoby out, I think, bumps your Norman Powell projection. I'm at 26 now. That feels certainly FanDuel where it's droppable like a pretty sexy spot.
I think we're pretty much out here on the same page. On the Raptors side, just these are guys that are grading out well for me from Toronto. I don't have exposures of my own because I'm not playing DK tonight, but
sure.
I would have a very large amount of Siakam, Lowry, Gasol, Van Vliet, Norman Powell. On FanDuel, I do have my updated crunch in here right now. 55% Lowry, 60% Siakam, 27% Gasol, 9 on Van Vliet, where he's a little bit more expensive, so I'm not upset with that. And then 20% of Norm Powell now at 4K.
Yeah,
and 14% of Jeremy Lin at the flat minimum, just in case those Kyle Lowry shares go wonky.
Yeah, it's not insane. Obviously, you like having him if you have a lineup that has neither of those other two guys. If you're running out, Dragic plus X and no one else, some Jeremy Lin. Or just Dragic and Lin makes sense as him being sort of the drop in that lineup, giving you some equity if this game blows out. No, all that feels really good. And again, FanDuel really underpricing a couple of the teams I really like today. I like Miami a fair bit now. I like Toronto a lot. And FanDuel really going out of your way to push you onto those teams.
Yeah. I don't think we have anything else that we need to touch on in Toronto. So let me think about what the next biggest... Here's one for you, because this is a spot where I wasn't getting a ton in the morning. Things have changed a little bit for me now. Sixers and Brooklyn Nets. Sixers at full strength. Pace up spot. Third best implied total on the slate. How do you feel about... We'll start with Embiid, since we know that centers versus Brooklyn has been a thing for a minute or two. And then let me know how you feel about the rest of their big four.
Yeah, I have Embiid as my third highest scoring guy on the slate behind Harden, behind Giannis. Whereas I like him a ton. There are a lot of centers I like at pretty nice prices. We'll get to it eventually. I'm a pretty big Clint Capella fan tonight at that DK price.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned Mitch. There's obviously that Drummond and Vooch game. There's a lot of centers I have a lot of appeal for. So I probably come in with less Embiid than I would like to in a vacuum. But 10-4 and even 11-4 on FanDuel is probably a little bit better, but basically the same. Obviously, all the ceiling in the world. And if you go with him as opposed to these other guys I'm talking about in that 8K, 9K, 7K range, if you want to talk about Capella, you are exposing yourself to like a 70 or 80 point game. Most of those other guys are doing that whole 40, 50, 60 on a good day type dance. So it's worth pointing out that, Embiid is the guy you think is most likely to give you a truly stupid game here. I like Simmons just less than Embiid, and I like Butler just less than Simmons.
I like Butler more than Simmons, but Embiid is getting a lot from me now. Not someone that I don't know if I just had like really weird rates in my sheet when I started today. I do now have 31% Joel Embiid on FanDuel. The 11-4 tag. He grades out pretty close to the same on DK. So I would imagine I would be somewhere in the 20s, which is right around the public. But Butler is the guy that even when I try to get away from him, I can't make him stop grading out well. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like I ever get a good fantasy game out of him. But then every time I look up his numbers, his aggregate rates add up to like a decent fantasy player.
He spanks the Nets too. He hasn't scored under 40 against the Nets in, I don't know, years. I don't have in front of me. I just seem to recall.
I hope he doesn't treat him too bad tonight. He's going to be playing for them next year.
Yeah, wouldn't shock me. Let's see. Last game under 40 for him against the Nets, October of 2016. Since then, 67, 49, 51, 45, 43, and 64. Again, these wildly different. That's across 3 teams, obviously, for him, and very, very different Nets teams. So that doesn't mean a butt ton for me, but just that price on DK is still very appealing for me. He's still underperforming his rates by a little bit. The one game he did have against them with the 76ers this year was a great fantasy game for a lot of guys. That was the one he had the 64. I think Embiid had 55 and Simmons had 45 in that game or something. I mean,
that sounds right. Something in that neighborhood.
They put it on him pretty good. So yeah, I do like Simmons a lot. It's a matchup that looks really good for me on paper. I have trouble getting to, nor do I think I necessarily want 2 of these guys in that more expensive price range, but I'm a big fan of getting to one of them. And I think one of the reasons I have Butler and Simmons close to Embiid is the positionality, getting, more upside guys in there. I like Clint Capella a lot again at 7,100. That's pulling 3,300 off that Embiid price tag. I like the value of Mitch. I like a couple other guys at center. So not having to use the center spot on Embiid still leaves him my favorite. And I think 25 or 30% is about the exposure level I would want. But because of their different positions and being able to play them at, guard forward, makes me a little more interested in Simmons and Butler relative to their projections. So I would have something like, I don't know, 30, 22, 15 across those 3 guys and feel pretty good about all of it.
Okay, cool. That makes me feel pretty good about my Philly exposure, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the 76ers. And again, they want this game. And
yeah, so does Brooklyn.
The Nets really want this game. I was talking about it on my Periscope last night. Their schedule leading out is insane. With like 3 weeks to go, they had whatever it was, something to the order of 11 or 12 games left. And I'm like, I'm really not sure they make the postseason, depending on how those Florida teams finish. And people are like, they have to go, 3-8 probably over their last 11 games to make it. And I'm like, that's not locked in stone. If you look at who these games are against, like we were talking about it last night again on the scope, they have like 2 with the Bucks, these 2 with the 76ers, a game with the Heat, a game with the Celtics, maybe one other I'm forgetting, but they have no good games left. None. They have no games left in which they'll be favored. 0. So they might be favored against the Heat, depending on where that game is, but still, that's hardly a walk in the park. So, yeah, I have some real concern about. So it's going to be interesting. And again, even after they started giving the kids time and giving Dwayne Bacon time, Batum going out, taking a little easier on Kemba, Charlotte Hornets odds keep going up. They keep winning. They're now 16% to make it. So that playoff, there are basically 5 teams going for those last 3 spots there. With Detroit, pretty good. They're like 95% and change. So Detroit's probably going to grab one, but Charlotte, the Nets, and the two Florida teams going to make up those last two spots, and it's going to come pretty close to down to the wire, I would think.
538 actually has the Nets still with an 80% chance of making it.
Yeah, no, and they just had it by record, but with that, if their schedule was average, it would be like 96%. Like they really need to screw the pooch. Like they're 500 or close to it or something like that, and all these other teams are. What's the Nets record? Aren't they 1.5 under 500, something like that?
I think they're a game above 500, but I have
it
here.
Yeah, and we're talking about the teams they're playing against have records like 39 and 43, and are several games under. Yeah. So it's just the schedule is just brutal.
Nets are 38 and 37.
Yeah,
they're projecting to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Probably 500.
They are projecting for the 8th seed right now in the East in a tie with the Magic at 40 and 42, which in my opinion means you shouldn't make the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I would go with the cross-conference top 16 records thing if I had my druthers in that decision. But
you and me both. And me both. Okay, so normally I start the show off and say, hey, Eddie, what's the spot you like the most? But we kind of got into 2 games there. Is there another game that you're looking at that is catching your eye?
Miami. I want all the Goran Dragic.
Yep.
Feed it to me. They need to win this game. He's only 5. Again, the entire team very, very well priced on FanDuel, where you have him at 5. I think he is the same price FanDuel and DraftKings. I think Wade is the same price FanDuel and DraftKings. I think Olynyk is cheaper.
Bam is $200 cheaper on FanDuel. Bam's the only one with a dumb price on FanDuel compared to DK.
Right. Yeah. And even he's certainly not out of play there. But I'm the first 3 I'm trying to get, and I want to get probably 2 of these guys, is Dragic, Wade, Jones Jr. Missing both those guys who play some combination of point guard, small forward. Who the hell's going to bring the ball up for this team? It's going to be Wade and Dragic have to do all the ball handling now. We haven't seen Dragic get more than 29 minutes since his most recent injury return. I have him projected for 31. I think he gets on top of that. They need to win this game. I certainly don't mind the matchup. I like Goran Dragic quite a bit here.
Goran Dragic, Eddie got to be on drugs. Dragic blows. Why Dragic? He's terrible lately. Guys, they don't have any more point guards.
And they made, Dragic made us several people tens of thousands of dollars all of 10 days ago, by the way.
Last 30 days, Goran Dragic has played at a 0.98 FanDuel point per minute rate. Not exactly garbage in 30 minutes.
Right, which is also, you're going to project him for 30 for 5,000 on FanDuel. I'm going to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I got 33%, by the way, just in case you're curious. So if the public wants to get Eddie, come to me too.
Yeah, I think the matchup is slightly better than average, and I was a huge fan of Dragic at 4.1K, I think was the price against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and haven't mentioned him since. And on that day, he had 50-something, I think he threw up, and made at least 4 people that I know at least $10,000. So some lingering affection for the man for that reason.
Well, there's some news. Please don't look at anything yet. Do you know who the chalkiest player on FanDuel is for us right now on our ownership?
Is he about to be out?
Yep. And let me tell you this much. You're not going to get this.
Hold on. I have to get it. It's not Christian Wood.
No.
People are crazy. They're not that crazy at 5,500. I should be able to get. That's a lot of clues. Someone I normally wouldn't guess. Somehow chalkiest player on the slate.
He is the chalkiest player in my sheet right now in our last ownership update for FanDuel.
Just tell me we're out of time.
Anthony Davis is out today.
Oh my God, the Christian Wood bullshit now it really intends its whole conversation. I don't call it bullshit because he's not very good at fantasy or because he's certainly now is a strong play on DraftKings and we have to. Oh God damn it! Yeah, I could have seen it. He was 74 on FanDuel. That still seems ridiculous. I would have rather Pascal Siakam by a country mile and Aaron Gordon even by a little bit. And
sorry, I got to stop you because we're not done in this game. Elfrid Payton out.
God damn it! That makes me angry because I was going to say don't play any. I was going to say literally don't
in the starting lineup.
I was going to say literally don't play any. I'm so frustrated. Last game, and seemingly no one else got on this. Frank Jackson got concussed with like 14 minutes left in the game. They still didn't bring Elf back. Elf played 25 minutes and just stayed out. The whole rest of the game, after Frank Jackson got a goddamn concussion, I'm like, something's weird here. And there was no news. And I'm like, for the matchup in that game, Elf is going to gather 10, 15% ownership. I want flat zero. God damn it. That's so frustrating. That was going to be a big edge spot, everyone. Sorry. All right. Well, your Ian Clark is more minted.
Ian Clark will start for the injured Elfrid Payton. And now Ian Clark will also start for the injured Frank Jackson. So apparently Vivek Ranadive took over the Pelicans at some point in time, and they're playing 5-on-4.
4-on-5. Yeah. That's a good reference right there. No one's going to get that, but that was a good one. I was going to say
how many people do you think even know the name that I just said?
You get like 15, 20% know the Kings owner. But...
Okay, apparently Elfrid Payton is available to play. I don't know what's happening. Okay, look, I'm going to say this out loud because I don't mind. I'm not entirely sure what's happening to Fantasy Labs right now, but they're not doing a great job of updating their Twitter.
Justin, put down the weed. I don't know what... Okay. I just loaded the Fantasy Labs NBA Twitter. Okay, here we go. Okay. Okafor starting. Sure.
Maybe.
No. All right, so here's what I have in order. Davis out, Okafor starting, Clark starting for Jackson, Elf available to play. The only Elf I see is available to play. I'm taking it you're saying there was an out that then got yanked?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
Ian Clark will start for the injured Elfrid Payton was the tweet, which I assume they messed up and meant to put Frank Jackson,
right. Okay.
and that caused the confusion.
All right, so to be clear.
Elfrid Payton is in.
Right, to be clear, Elfrid Payton is in and probably starting. For the reasons I previously stated, think that there is at least some very real chance that Gentry goes full retard, like just completely says, all right, I want to see more of all the kids here. And we saw a bit of that in the fourth quarter in the last game, which wasn't terribly out of control against the Hawks. And we got the Christian Wood experience. And again, Elf did not return for, I will pull up the log on it. I don't think Popcorn has that one. They've been a bit behind. But he didn't come back. Do not believe he touched the floor in the fourth quarter. And again, that included when the other guard of any real value on the team got a concussion. They just kept him out and ran out these really weird-ass teams. So for all those reasons, I would stay off of Elfrid Payton tonight. I have him for 27 minutes with, I think there's a real chance of under. You are accepting the risk of the fact that you're not going to play a very good point guard in a very good matchup, who is a guy who doesn't mind getting a triple-double, and now Drew is out and Anthony Davis is out. So I cannot say that it is a play without risk, but I can say that I prefer Kyle Lowry and Goran Dragic anyway at their prices. So I would just play them in a single lineup. If I was playing 150, I'd have to seriously think about zero Elfrid Payton, but I would play very little. I'm curious what we have him projected at. Ownership.
Elfrid Payton?
Yeah.
I can tell you what we had him at. This is obviously going to throw a little bit of a wrench into it. Well, DK probably won't change all that much. He was at 4% on DK.
Oh, all right.
The Davis news probably won't have that big of an impact on Elfrid Payton's stuff.
Nope.
He's at 19 on FanDuel.
Okay. Well, yeah. So yeah, zero for me there.
Okay.
It's not like he's even that cheap. I'm just worried he plays 25 minutes.
Yeah. All right. Let's see if we can have a brainstorming session on what. Let's play. Who gets the most minutes in the front court for the Pelicans? Is it Julius Randle, Christian
the
Wood,
most minutes?
Check Diallo, Jahlil Okafor, Stanley Johnson, Kenrich,
Darius Miller? Like, we start reading names with question marks is great. Kenrich Williams?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Damn it. Who put a question mark on the teleprompter? I will say Julius Randle gets the most minutes. I have him for 30.
Yeah.
I think that will hold up as most minutes. I have very little confidence in that statement. I have very little confidence in anything I'm saying here, but I have him for 30, and 30 I think would still hold it. I think you get Diallo. I think you get Okafor. I think you get Christian Wood.
How many minutes does Christian Wood play here?
I had him at a smaller number than I'm about to say now.
Not starting.
28.
Yeah, that's insanity.
Yep. I'm just guessing with the all right. Here's my thought process.
Do you think
Are you ready?
Okafor gets the Bogans or something, like he's been getting a start and then he's done?
I think he gets a start in 20 or something like that. I think he gets more than he did last time, and I am giving Wood less than he got last time. I'm doing my best Alan Gentry Vulcan mind meld, and by the way, it hurts melding minds with such a primitive life form. But the I don't even. It's like the time he did it to the salt creature under the city. And anyway, look, they don't want to win. There are a couple, like I've spoken a little bit about how Memphis actually wants to win is the weird thing that's going on with them. So I feel a little bit better about my, Mike Conley than I do some of the other expensive guys who, Elf and Randall, where I feel like the rug could get yanked out at any time. They don't want to win games. They know pretty much who Jahlil Okafor and Cheikh Diallo are. They've had Christian Wood for X days. He's the fun new toy. He's coming off a massive game. I'm not shocked if you get 20 minutes. I'm not shocked if you get 32.
I'm not shocked if you get 0.
I'm shocked if you get 0.
I got nothing anymore.
I would be dumbfounded if you got 0.
It would surprise me.
They're it's not a big Sacramento team, but I would be pretty shocked if you got 0. I got a pretty strongly endorsed Christian Wood on DK at $4,100 at this point.
Yeah. Oh, he's the best play. He's the best play on the Pelicans.
On ownership. If he's 59% owned, then I'm probably going to pull back the reins on that a little bit.
Here's the question: would you rather have Christian Wood or Ian Clark on DraftKings?
Well, positionality is going to play into it a little bit. Versus their prices, I would come down pretty similar on both of those guys. Christian Wood is a much better basketball player, fantasy-wise. He's $400 more. It is hard not to see something like 36 minutes out of Ian Clark, but that depends whether or not my presupposition on Elf turns out to be correct. It's going to come down to ownership for me. Just as far as how much I want to play the guys is pretty close to similar for me. So if we have 51% Elf or 51% Ian and 37% Christian Wood, I would probably be a little more excited in the Wood.
Oh god, we're at the halfway point and things got a lot squirrelier than they were a half hour ago.
Yeah, good. I want Elf to be out. Let's see that come back. But
I don't even know who's left to play for them if he would have been out. Ian Clark would play 40 minutes.
Yeah, it'd have gotten squirrely. You'd have gotten 40 minutes of Kenrich Williams. You'd have gotten 29 minutes of Darius Miller. That it would have gone like that. Damari Carroll is starting again. I like Damari Carroll, especially on FanDuel, quite a bit. I like that matchup for him, and he's getting over 30 minutes repeatedly, which is not something the Nets do a lot. But 4,700 on FanDuel, I'm a pretty big fan of Damari Carroll at the 3.
I can't really disagree with you. Nope. I typed that number in wrong.
I probably, based on their ownership, I have a feeling will prefer him to Derek Jones Jr. by a little bit.
Okay.
I suspect we will have stupid higher ownership on Derek Jones Jr. than Damari Carroll, and yes, you are saving $900, and I think he is in a great spot. Let's see. Right now we have Derek Jones Jr. 4th overall owned, 30%. We have Damari Carroll not on the front page, so it sort of makes my point. 3, which seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah, that's a little low.
Yeah, he's. I mean, the position is obviously, but it will be higher than 3. I will go ahead and say that we have that one wrong in the algorithm. There's a couple guys here who, we have Aaron Gordon at 3. I don't love Aaron Gordon, but the FanDuel price is too cheap. Everyone on that team is playing well more minutes.
Yeah.
I like his matchup individually a little more than Vooch's, who has to deal with Drummond. Now, he's been fine against Drummond. He has had 20-10 games in 4 of his last 5 against Andre Drummond. It is not a matchup he particularly struggles in, but it puts a bit of a cap on the rebounding upside. And it's just a really significant price difference. If you're looking on FanDuel, it's $3,500 difference between those two guys. So no issue with you playing either of them. But at 3%, certainly Aaron Gordon, someone I would have some interest in. I don't know, let me bounce around a little bit and talk about guys. I have Giannis 4 points higher than James Harden. I like James Harden fine. I think he outscores Giannis 44% of the time or some number like that. But at similar tags. I like Giannis a good bit more in this matchup. I think Bogdan Bogdanovic might be my favorite piece of the Kings. There is some risk there, but especially with the guys they're missing. He's back towards 30 minutes each of the last two games. 47 and 4,900, not dissimilar to Goran Dragic and Damari Carroll, guys I like in matchups I like for $5,000 who I think quite possibly play 30 minutes. And I don't think it is a game format in which Bogdanovic loses the time again. There is some flexibility in that lineup between Bogdanovic and Bielica and Bagley and Cauley Stein, but with no Anthony Davis and that game going a lot smaller, I like Bogdan quite a bit now. Clint Capella is 2+ marks in my notes here. I've really liked his work against Jokic in the past. He gets very vertical in the past. He gets very vertical very fast, and has produced against him extremely well throughout his career, especially the last few games. Especially that DK price of $7,100 at what we project to be fairly nominal ownership.
Speaking of ownership, do you want to play some Daddy Likes shortly? We just got an update.
All right, do it. We can go right to it now. It's just throwing out random guys I like, but
okay. Yeah, we needed that update for me to move forward. So this should be perfect.
Shout out to the team for keeping all this shit updated on the double sport day. I know it is a bit taken for granted, and as it should be. It's a service we provide for money for those of you who purchase it, but still, that is a lot of work to do. So full credit to those guys behind the scenes, keeping all the Skrilla so beautiful.
Thanks to Tom, Eddie, and the boss man, Alex Baker.
Yep. All right, let's do it. I'm ready.
All right. Number 1 on DraftKings, 47%. How do you feel about Ian Clark?
Yeah, I would have less than 47%, but the guy has to play a butt ton of minutes. 47% for Ian Clark is just always going to be a little bit too much. It's still Ian Clark. So 47% a bit much for me, especially with some extra. Lou Will out just got shouted at me.
Is this real life? Yep. Lou Will out rest.
How do you feel about your 40 minutes of Landry Shamet? I guess they locked up
Who
the
knows?
playoff.
I mean, it's not like he's healthy.
Yeah, what's funny is they have nothing to play for. They will be the 7 or the 8 seed, and they don't know if Denver or Golden State's going to be the 1 or the 2. And so, like, they're basically randomly going to end up in one of several really shitty matchups. So winning a game here or there doesn't really matter a butt ton for them anymore. They can, I don't think they can maybe get up to like the 6, but I'm not shocked to see that. But okay, let's look at the Clippers for a little bit. Now
I was going to say let's pause Daddy Likes for a second, because we just have to replace 30 minutes of the most ball dominant guy on the team with their point guard already out. So I think SGA is going to play a ton of minutes here.
Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be a late slate stud. And now it certainly engenders some luck on the main slate. He's still going to come behind Dragic and Lowry for me. But I'd have him at like 38 or 39 minutes now.
I just gave him 38. Does this sneakily put Tyrone Wallace in play as a punt? He got 15 minutes in the last game. Got a bunch of DNPs for a stretch. But, I mean, he is sort of the guy that should naturally take that role, or at least has in the past.
Yeah, it's been him more than Thornwell the last couple times that we've seen this going on.
I'm really surprised they haven't used Jerome Robinson more this year, ignoring DFS. But
just as
coming off as a really wasted pick.
It puts Garrett Temple back in play.
Yeah, he needs every minute he can get too.
Yeah, he's not super fantasy guy, and the matchup, while the pace is nice, is not particularly brilliant against Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land.
I thought you were going to be like for Milwaukee.
That'd be a good one too. Yeah, I don't have it. I mean, I assume Ty Wallace is basically the nutstone minimum. It is difficult to go there with only going up to 3,700 for Ian Clark, because you're looking at 24 minutes of Ty Wallace if we're lucky, I think, and 36 minutes of Ian Clark. So that's kind of tough to do. I would probably Temple first. But
what do you think on Temple's minutes?
Probably 30? 29. Yeah, like 29,
32 the last time out. So maybe that's the number.
Someone said, "Does this move Embiid ahead of Giannis?" They point per dollar. I actually have Embiid a good bit ahead. I have Giannis for more raw points, but points per dollar in that upper tier. I already had Embiid a little ahead. This won't be enough to get him their raw points. It makes Gallinari a little more interesting. And again, maybe you get 27 shots out of him. We're running out of people on this team who know how to score the basketball.
Yes, we are.
Like when you're running out, Ty Wallace, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Garrett Temple, that is not an offensive dream team.
No,
so
it's not.
there is, and again, whatever it is, Danilo Gallinari has scored 35 or more fantasy points in 13 consecutive games or something. Some incredibly dumb level. I don't know if he has exceeded 50 in that entire batch, and most of them are 35 to 40, but we're certainly, expressing just an upside of I took, 13 3-pointers type situation here for him. So I would have a good bit more interest in Danilo.
So this is completely random, but I just want to point it out. I'm pulling up NBA Wowie right now to see how this team reacts with Lou Will off the floor. If you were liking, let me say this right now before we get out of there. If you were liking Montrezl Harrell tonight, you should probably stop liking him.
Yep.
He is tied to the hip with Lou Will in terms of
fantasy their production is phenomenally tied together. It's something I've noticed a couple times this year. I'm not surprised at all.
Okay, so how many minutes can Landry Shamet realistically play today? He was questionable, did not play in their most recent game, only played 14 minutes before that. I have a hard time just giving him
35.
The goods. You think he plays 35?
No, I'm saying you said I have a hard time giving him, and I was trying to psychically finish your sentence.
Yeah, I'm giving him 28.
I'm fine with that. I think you're looking at a pretty safe 25 and a max of like 35. I might go one or two more, but I think you're in the right spot.
Okay. So really weird box score quirk. I'm looking at my table of minutes played over their last 30 games. Or last 30 days. It's just all it is minutes with calendar dates on them.
Temple starting, by the way.
Okay. Sindarius Thornwell has played in every game over the last 30 days.
Like 1 minute.
Yeah, 1-1-0, because it's like, less than 0.5, so I don't have a decimal showing. 1-1-0, 1-1-1-2. I mean, this dude is just playing like... they could have me. I can do that.
Yeah, I can go out there and guard an inbound pass or where, like... Yeah.
Okay, what stands out for you for the Clippers now? Do you have any interest in anyone with sort of reckless abandon now? Gilgeous-Alexander is probably the guy, maybe on FanDuel a little bit more than DK.
Yeah, I think that's probably my favorite. Again, he is a limited upside kind of guy, and I do stress that the matchup isn't great. Someone asked specifically, like you're saying that the Clippers have nothing to play for, so let's play lots of Gallinari. That is a perfectly reasonable point. Doc tends to play to win the games on the floor.
You play,
you know what I'm saying?
Win the game.
Yeah, you play to win the. Yeah, thanks, Coach. But Gallo. Once they're out there, I think he plays to win the game. I was saying that in reference to them resting Lou Williams, but we've seen no evidence of them sort of tanking it on the floor. And I'm not sure that has anything to do with it. I'm just saying from the front office / medical / whatever view in the locker room, all right, we've locked up our playoff spot. Let's start to, give our guys some rest now that we've, locked that up. I think has something to do with that. I'm not super concerned that they take it easy on Gallinari in this game. I'd be shocked if Gallo doesn't rest a game in the next week. He's a guy who certainly knows how to break his ass, literally. So, yeah. So, just want to.
They barely have time with Bev and Lou Will not on because of the way that Lou Will gets staggered.
Yeah.
Like there are just not minutes without these guys on the floor. I almost have to put Beverly back on since he's not like Lou Will makes the difference here.
Yeah, they're not dressing a lot of dudes. The front court is going to be pretty much fine. They were running super small. Gallo's basically playing the 4. Wilson Chandler is basically backing up. There's some JaMychal Green in there. Zubac and Harrell were handling the 5. That's basically going to be the same. They were running that triple guard Beverly, Shea, Shamet. And now when you take Lou Williams out of there and all the minutes he was getting, their minutes are going to trend up. Garrett Temple is going to get his 30 again. He's starting. Sindarius Thornwell will get his 1 up to possibly 12 or something in this game. But yeah, I think you're right that you end up with those guys minuting up a bit, somewhere coming close to 30 on Shamet and Garrett Temple. You probably do pick up something like a dozen minutes for Sindarius Thornwell, 20 to 24 for Ty Wallace. It doesn't make me want to go nuts on any of these guys. I now think Gallinari is a pretty strong GPP play, especially, again, FanDuel, where I think, again, it's dollar per dollar an identical price, and you need two small forwards on FanDuel, 7,400. I can see myself getting there with a reasonable bit of regularity, again, with a pretty nice floor there. But no one, screams, I'm going to win. And again, this is, I am concerned about this game staying close at this point.
Yeah, the Bucks haven't had any problems beating the stuffing out of everybody for the entire season. So
except for the Suns.
Right. I mean, well, obviously, it's the Suns. That's a tricky matchup.
If you get bored sometime looking at the games won by the Suns and the Bucks the Suns and the Cavs and the Hawks, they keep taking down like nuts teams. Those three dreadful teams keep beating the Raptors and the Bucks and the Warriors, and the Cavs keep giving it to the 76ers, and it's really funny that several of the dreadful teams are getting half their wins against teams with 60% or greater wins. Like it's really strange.
I think I like SGA here.
I do too. Single lineup, he's on the line of a guy I'd want to get in there. Again, it's difficult. We know Van Vliet is starting now, so that's going to price pretty similarly, but I think he's a great Van Vliet pivot at a guy I would project pretty similarly. Probably his minutes are a good bit safer, and the ownership should be less. So yeah, I like SGA. He's probably Gallinari is probably the guy I'm first trying to get in there because I just want to try to spike 50s out of these guys, and that's unlikely out of SGA.
Yeah.
But probably Gallo, then SGA for me.
Okay. That works for me. Yeah, I clearly have no issue with Gallo. Just tried to peruse through Wowie. I can't get any like major usage bumps for him. I don't, it's going to be kind of tricky with the Lou Will stuff, but I don't know. Hopefully SGA has a fire lit under his butt in this one.
Yeah, I'd absolutely be fine if you bucked up on him a little bit.
And I'm going to get some Gallo for sure. We'll see how that shakes out. For those of you that are premium subs, projections have just been updated for the Lou Will news. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that we don't get anything else.
I want more news. I don't know about you. More news.
I don't want more news right now.
More news. By the way, guy who's talking about Dragic is trash. Dragic on the year is at 0.95 fantasy points per minute and 0.98 over the last month since returning from injury.
Yeah.
Shea is at 0.82. Just one. Throw it out there as a frame of reference for people undoubtedly later yelling at me when Shea outscores Dragic.
Want to take some questions?
Sure.
Okay. Simmons and Gallo or Butler and... Okay, now. Simmons and Gallo and either Butler or... I'm saying this poorly. Simmons and Gallo or Jimmy Butler and either Luka or Vooch. Sorry.
I probably play Luka and Butler there.
Okay.
But close.
Okay.
I still like it's obviously a bad matchup for like 8,400 is just way, way, way the hell too cheap. We're talking about a guy who's got 55 in 4 of his last 6, 60 plus in 3 of those games. He thus far in his limited NBA career has trended to run for what's blocked. He tends to have his big ass games in good matchups more so than even other players. Like it is rare for him to spike massive game in difficult spot. But 8,400 is still just crazy. I still like him a little more than Ben Simmons at about the same price. I like Luka quite a bit. And again, if you're planning on playing several guys on the opposite team, it makes some real sense there.
We just got an updated ownership projection set, so I'm going to dump those into the sheet right now.
All right, I'm just going to look at them to save us some time here.
Yeah, I was going to say Ian Clark still at the top. Fred VanVleet coming in second at 40%. Joel Embiid. Joel, Hulu has live sports Embiid coming in at number 3.
Great campaign, by the way. I love that.
Yeah, we were talking about it, like that. Whoever came up with that deserves some kudos and a bonus and stuff.
Dragic 5th.
Yeah, as he should be.
Yep.
As he should be.
Giannis 6th. Vooch. Yeah, don't certainly nothing wrong with Vooch. Buddy Hield all the way up at 7th.
What do you think of Buddy today? Prefer his alternate partner, I guess.
I mean, when I'm saving like $2,700, like I obviously have Buddy, for a lot more fantasy point, but like I would rather play Jimmy Butler. I think that changes it around a little bit for me at basically the same price. So, I'm obviously just fine with Buddy Hield. I'm a big fan of him. His shooting, his renaissance this year has been great. By the way, revenge.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure he's pretty happy to not be there at this point. What else we got? Questions here. FanDuel GPP at small forward. Can you rank Carroll, Powell, Jones Jr.?
In a tournament, I like all three of those players. I'm going to check the ownership because they're close enough for me that I imagine you're going to get. Right, we have Jones Jr. at 50% owned on FanDuel right now, 49. So for that point, yes, I would probably try to play Powell and DeMarre Carroll at far, far lesser ownership. I think Derrick Jones Jr. is the best point per dollar play, but 49% ownership is, very significant.
Yes, it is. DK Cash, Vooch and Drummond, or Embiid and Lowry? That one's easy for me.
Embiid and Lowry.
Yeah, not close either.
Yeah, in cash, that's not terribly close for me. In tournaments, it's interesting because you end up sort of stacking that game. That's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I can see it.
But yeah, I mean, with Embiid's ownership, Lowry's ownership, and Lowry's price tag, it's going to be really difficult to go to any other combo there in a cash game.
Yeah. Starting who we expected, by the way, Dragic, Waiters, Derrick Jones Jr., KO, and Adebayo.
There we go.
Don't hate Waiters either, by the way.
No.
This will tick up his minutes a little bit. I prefer Dragic. I prefer Jones Jr. I probably prefer Kelly O, but Waiters would be similar to Adebayo in my estimation.
On FanDuel, I like everybody except for Bam. Like, I think that I'm going to have 15 to 35% of Wade, Dragic, Olynyk, Waiters, Jones, and James Johnson.
Yeah, so we had a couple people ask about power forward on FanDuel. I want to specifically just refer to that real quick.
Yeah, hit it.
At the top, all those guys are a little more than I want to spend. I like the matchup a lot for LaMarcus Aldridge, $1,200 less on DK. I'm absolutely fine to go there. 93 on FanDuel, I'm going to save with some of the guys we're going to get to in a minute. Sort of the same story with Blake Griffin. Saving $1,000 on DK feels a little bit better. 8,400 for Julius Randle, I think, is just fine in tournaments. I'm not surprised if he spikes out a 50 here. The matchup is really, really good. There's no Anthony Davis again. Like, I am much more conscious of the warning signs with Julius Randle than I am the upside. So I want to reiterate, the upside is pretty goddamn massive with no Drew, no Anthony. Like, that guy can do some damage in this matchup. So I don't have a problem with Julius Randle. I would slightly prefer the cheaper guys. I don't want $8,300 Kevin Love on the road against San Antonio. It's not impossible, obviously, but he's last of all the guys I've spoken of so far. Harrell, again, I have my concerns with the absence of Lou Williams. I have my concerns of this game staying close. They are in Milwaukee. I don't know what the line is on this game now, but it should be, 12 or something up near that. Like, it should be a number now. I bet it won't be.
I think it was before that.
Oh, okay. So, well, there you go. Bagley, again.
Milwaukee line right now is 10.5.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, I bet the Clippers tend to rank pretty well. They tend to keep games close. They don't tend to be double-digit dogs against even the best. But
too much like mid-tier talent for them to get really smacked on.
Yep. Bagley, just a little more than I want to pay because for $100 less, I get Siakam. That'd be one of my first choices there.
Yeah.
And then probably you're looking at Aaron Gordon, probably barely sneaks in there second for me, and then you go up to those other more expensive guys or into Kelly O at 47 is pretty nice value. So that's basically where they pan out for me.
Okay.
And I guess you have to mention Christian Wood at this point. He's 55, which at the start of the day seemed like a trap, but
I don't even want to see how much I have right now on FanDuel when I click. I've got 28 at 5,500.
That escalated fast.
Yeah, we're not projecting him for that on FanDuel, so now I'm a little nervous. If our most recent ownership projections are to be trusted, 49% for Ian Clark on DK, Christian Wood 16. Sign me up for some Christian Wood then.
I don't trust them.
Neither do I.
I don't trust those numbers.
No, I think Wood will be higher than that. He's got that like shiny new toy buzz
Yeah.
too.
Yep. And yep.
Alrighty. Back to questions. Gordon and Wood or Siakam and Kelly O? FanDuel GPP.
I'll take Siakam and Kellyo.
Yeah, as will I. Dragic and Dinwiddie or Wade and Bogdan in the DK GPP.
I'll take Wade and Bogdan. I don't mind the other one at all, but I'll slightly go that way. I don't know what we have Wade projected at, but the minutes are gonna come up. You're gonna see a lot of time out of that man. So yeah, I will slightly go with the second one there. I like Wade and Bogdan just a touch more. Okay. I like both sides of it for what it's worth.
I am uploading my lineups right now. Let me just make sure that happens, and then I am done. And 150 entries uploaded successfully. So I'm back. Gallo or Siakam in a DK GPP if you're playing Lowry. Also, shout out to Dadler40 for providing us that piece of information, which is incredibly relevant.
Which is what?
That Lowry is in the lineup as well.
It is very relevant.
We don't normally get that extra piece of information, and that is very helpful.
Yeah, without that, I still have to say Siakam. You have Lowry, so you're covering yourself a little bit. I probably in one lineup play Gallo in that spot. He has not hurt you bad in, obviously, again, a month. And I do think there's a big ceiling there, and I imagine our ownership differential between those two guys is 24% and 8%. I'll throw two numbers off the top of my head, but yeah, with Lowry in there, I probably play Gallo. Raw points, it's not right, but that's what I got. I don't have projected that differently. I had Gallo at the start of the day for 36.5 and Pascal for 41 and change, so like it's not ridiculous. So at that point, I probably play Gallo.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time. Actually, DK GPP. Sorry, I was thinking about it like FanDuel. 4.5. I have Gallo at. Yeah, it's going to be Siakam for me, even with Wade, or even with Lowry. God, I'm all over the place. Too many sports now, man. Too many different names in my head.
I feel you, dog. I feel you.
Okay. Best of luck on this one. It's a lot of names. DK Cash. I assume Trez is Montrezl Harrell, Randall, and Derek Jones Jr. So Trez, Randall.
The other one for Cash.
Adebayo, Doncic, Waiters. Got it.
Yep, the other one.
Thank you.
Of those three guys, you have one guy I'm feeling pretty good about in Cash. There's a lot of uncertainty in those first three names. There's some in the second too, but I'm going to go with the second.
Does the depleted roster for the Heat bump up Luka? It doesn't move him at all for me.
It slightly moves him. There's a better chance the game stays close. Both Richardson and Winslow are quality defenders.
Yeah.
Dragic is not. So, like, does it help? Yeah. I'd probably, goose his projection by 3/4 of a single fantasy point. Like, it's not bad.
I'm glad you said it like that.
Yeah, like it is a minor cookie. Yes, I would raise his projection by 1 to 2% or something. It is nice. It's slightly more likely the game stays close. That helps, but it is not anything that should cause you to play differently. I'll put it that way.
No, you're rarely going to have anything happen that you should be moving more than a point in either direction. So I thought it was interesting to see you say, 3/4 of a point or something like that.
It's a fraction of a point, which is relevant, but it's probably past our degree of precision. Like there's just enough random.
Yeah, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme because a projection system is naturally 15 points wide on both sides.
Right. There's even in basketball, which is very projectable, there's enough randomness in there that you're not going to make that work out for you.
If you have them projected at 50, what you're really saying is 30 to 70, and now you're basically saying like I'll bump them to 50.25 or something, or 50.5.
That's exactly the case.
What else we got? Y'all fading Lowry? Nope.
No. No.
Fading Siakam, playing Lowry? Also no.
I have
Aldridge
no issue.
Or Drummond? We didn't talk about Aldridge at all. There's one.
I like Aldridge a lot on DraftKings. Again, sort of safe, has looked good recently. You expect him to be able to get what he wants here. Is going to play down a little bit more. So I would play Drummond in cash. I would probably play Aldridge in a tournament.
Alrighty.
Does that sound okay to you?
It does sound okay to me. It sounds exactly the same as what I would have said.
Okay. Usually you say that, and when you don't say anything, I worry that I'm that you disagree, and I want to know that.
If I'm being honest, I got caught up looking at a picture of a quantum computer on Twitter, so the shiny thing got me.
That'll usually it's a woman for me, but whatever turns you on.
I retweeted it. You'll have to see. Anyway, our premium Slack is let's just say they are slacking in their question asking.
Oh wow! Well, no, I got very clever. Yeah.
Any interest in Colin Sexton?
No.
How about Brolo on a DK GPP?
Yes, quite a bit. I like Brolo quite a bit. Brolo just fine in tournaments.
Okay.
Not going to make it into one lineup, but strong spot for him. I like Brolo quite a bit in tournaments. He's not going to point per dollar get in there with other guys I like, but if I was building 5 lineups, I'd get to my first Brolo on DK.
Okay. Well, guess what? 15 seconds.
Okay, I'm staring at TweetDeck trying to find more breaking news, but apparently it's not there.
I think that's it. How many games? We got 2 games to look at some ownership. That's exciting.
It's not too bad. Locked and loaded Brolo. Yeah, I don't mind Brolo at all, obviously. I'm a fan of having a buck. FanDuel. I didn't mind Middleton at all on FanDuel. That was he's taken a ton of he's been shooting more, looked good. The matchup is strong for him. He's again $200 less on FanDuel, which is always nice when you see it. That last game was really poor. He shot, I think it was 6 for 23, but has been getting his 20 shots up with fair regularity. So I liked him a fair bit on FanDuel. But yeah, Brolo either side in tournaments I think is just fine. And Clippers, centers, no super advanced analysis there, but he did do well when they played earlier this year. For what it's worth, he had 40 something, which if you want to look at a 1 game sample, there's that as well. All right, let's see what we have on DK.
Let's do it. Live before lock is the promo code, everybody. If you're still sticking around and you want to join us, grab an all access package, including a package with Fantasy Cruncher for 50% off.
50.
Now I feel like I could breathe again.
Yeah, you've had quite a day. Joel Embiid. Bet you didn't want that much at this price. 47. Jesus. That's a number for...
Yeah, I mean, I know Hulu has live sports and all, but...
Hulu has live sports.
That's a lot of Hulu.
Yeah, that's a lot of live sports.
That's too high in my opinion for the amount of center talent that exists.
Yeah, for the other right, and again, that's just exactly what it comes down to. Like I have him projected just fine. Again, he's really the only one of these centers who I think is going to throw up 80 for you, and this is certainly a spot he can do it in. Both these teams need this game. Detroit is not locked in the playoffs. They're 95%, I think, but they're not locked. They need games, and this is not the easiest one. So, no complaints if you have it. I would have less than 47% Joel Embiid. By the way, 12th on the list when we get there. Jimmy Butler, 4. Foe.
I would have had more than that.
Yes, me too. Foe. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, it's just these are just the numbers. Embiid, 47. I'd have less than that. I'm just going to do centers real quick for fun. Vooch, 24. I'd have had less than that. Drummond, 9. I'd have had more than that. Like I'm sorry, Drummond, 8.7. I had him projected for a fantasy point and a half more than Vooch, and he cost a hair more than Vooch on both sites. So again, I would be largely guided by ownership, and Vooch is triple owned what Drummond is.
Yeah, let me take a look at that. What would I have been looking at for center? Embiid. Where's Drummond? 34, 30. Yeah, I mean, I would have, if Embiid was, you say in the 40s, right?
47, my good man. I'd have had 25 to 30. I said I feel pretty good about that being the number. I'd added like 25 to 30 on him, somewhere close to 20 on Simmons, who is 13, somewhere close to 15 on Butler, who is 4.
Yeah, I would have wanted to just get like a little bit more Andre Drummond, a little bit more Vooch, a little bit more Aldridge, Marc Gasol, Siakam. Like there's just
Yeah.
There's just so many damn options at center.
Yep. I think Clint Capella is going to give me 40 for his 7K.
Yeah.
We'll see how that stands up at the end of the day, but they're going to minutes him up a fair bit here. I think he gets 35, 36.
Yeah, like I have Embiid beating Capella even with their salaries 58% of the time, but he has 72% of the ownership between the two of them.
So. Right, exactly. So that puts some right. So yeah, I would have been under an Embiid over on Capella over on Drummond. Yeah. Someone just asked a funny, very auto-corrected question where someone said Derek White, and I thought it said terrible. It says Temple.
Oh, I thought it said terrible too.
Yeah, the M looked like a double R to me. With my old man eyes staring at a computer 1,000 hours a day. But it looked like White and Terrible or Shamet or Powell and Shea. Just thought that was pretty amusing. I don't think I want to play Shamet and Shea. That seems a little dangerous. I can see Powell and Shea there. I like Derek White here. Like, it's just tournaments because they may only play him 21 minutes again. They may crush the Cavs and play no one more than 24 minutes, but certainly the upside there for DW.
What else you got for ownership?
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm stalling because this is going to be our last show together for a while.
It probably is, yeah.
It makes me sad.
I will be around, obviously, and I can pop on from time to time on slow baseball days if they exist. But especially in this next 10-day stretch.
Yeah, I figure I can get maybe a weekend game show out of you in those couple weeks where like baseball's kicking at or starting, if you will, at 1 p.m.
Yeah,
the main basketball's at 6, something like that. I can probably steal one out of you, but so Embiid 47, I'd have less. Vooch 24, I'd have less. Not demonstrably so, but I'd be at 30 as opposed to 47, and 18 or 20 as opposed to 24. Simmons 12.5, I'd probably be above that to the area of 15 or 20. I think I like Simmons a lot. Maybe the Luka would drag that down a little. I'd have to actually plot that out. Blake 11 feels pretty good. He's looked better. What do you got here? I'm slowing down because usually you kick in your exposure, but
yeah, Blake 11 seems a little high to me.
Okay, it's tough. Siakam makes that obviously sticky.
I wasn't a huge fan of Blake today at that $7,900 price tag. Sure. I'm not confident I would have had any.
Okay, well, there you go. D'Angelo Russell, 9.5, a guy we didn't talk about. I do think Russell or Dinwiddie, one of them probably turns out pretty nice here. I think I probably slightly prefer Dinwiddie at his price. We have them actually owned almost identical. They are next to each other.
Yeah, I greatly prefer Dinwiddie if they have similar ownership.
They do. We have D-Russ at 9.55, Spencer Dinwiddie 9.27.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Ball dominant guards have been dominating the Sixers pretty regularly this season. I think Russell himself put one on Philly earlier this year.
Yeah, they both did. Actually, they each had a nice one.
So, I see it, but I mean, that price is just massive now.
Yeah, it's saving $3,000 again. Yeah. Drummond, as alluded to, 8.7. Reggie Jackson, 7.2. I would have less. You have Van Vliet, you have Dragic, you have other guys. The last game we did get Reggie spiking back to 30, 31 minutes. The 7 before that, he played like 24 on average.
Yeah.
That's a bit too. I mean, I think he was 4,500 on DK. So he's even 500 less than Dragic. So,
and a horrible matchup in a slow game against a fantastic defense. Like no boxes on the other side of that are being checked positively for him.
Yeah, exactly. So Luke Kennard 6.75. I ranked him today. He was my 4th favorite Piston. You weren't there. I had news the other day. The Pistons became the first team all year that in my GPP ranks, which are supposed to contain every single player I would play in 150 lineups, had 2 people. I had Blake and Drummond in the last game and no other players. First time all year somebody managed to not get a 3rd guy ranked.
Wow.
I would have had 0 of non-Blake, non-Drummond in that game. The wings are a mess. Reggie and Ish had been splitting. The matchup wasn't that great. There were lots of other good cheap options on, say, the Bulls and other teams. I ranked 2 dudes. Today I ranked 4 dudes, and humorously enough, there they are basically in order with Drummond, Jackson, and Kennard, who is all the way down to 3,900.
Yeah, so, I was going to say, I'll say this. Kennard is not 4 to me on the Pistons.
Yeah.
I have him ahead of Blake.
Oh, okay. No, I don't hate that. Blake for me is just, again, I figured the ownership would be in the 10% range, and I'm not shocked if he gets 50 here, and so I'm containing some ownership. I expect Pascal to be super high owned, but I don't look at him and go, what a brilliant spot for him. I'll certainly give you that. Evan Furner, 6.2.
Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't have had him.
Yeah, that team really for me was the front court. Like, I'm not going to say anything to anyone who wants to play a still too cheap John Isaac or Fournier or Cross or Augustine when those guys are sucking up all the minutes. Clearly someone could spike, but in a single lineup, I think they're pretty crazy. You're running 150 and have some never Google. I don't hate on it. Jimmy Butler, as previously alluded to, 4%. It's safe to say we'd have both gotten on top of that pretty well.
Yes.
I'm feeling a bond between us here in that we both have hypothetical DK ownership.
Yeah.
I always feel like a dork saying, in these 150 lineups that I haven't created but have thought about in my head, I would have 17.1%. I always feel kind of like an idiot. So
I mean, when I crunched this morning on the strategy show with Laffy, I had like 50% Butler.
Wow.
Yeah, that would not have ended up the way that it happened, but I'm rarely getting somebody at 50% in the morning and not like at least still mildly heavy on them at the end.
Yeah, that's a commitment. Someone in the chat, Moses Guthrie, asks, what's the bump to SGA's minutes originally projected at 27? I would think 34 or 35 is where I would end with him.
Yeah, I think I gave him 34, maybe 36.
I didn't mention back-to-backs today. No one is on the back end. Literally no one played yesterday and today, and only the Nuggets play tomorrow. Which is pretty sweet. Just basically why I didn't mention it, because I didn't really like anyone on Denver that much anyway. And no one else is on one, so there you go. Ed Davis, 3.5. I'm fine. I mean, I'm playing Mitch.
That's whatever.
For $700 more and a 50-point upside as opposed to a 35-point upside, but Ed Davis is there. Terrence Ross, 3.39. Meh. Damari Carroll, 3.37. I like that. Again, not as much as FanDuel, where it's even on the outside of droppable. But again, we're going from 3.39 to 3.37 to 3.34 for Aaron Gordon, AG, the Attorney General.
That's too low.
Yes, it is. At 66 or whatever the hell the number is there, 65 or like it's just 3% is too low. It doesn't look like the best spot on paper. I had him projected for 31, I think, but 45 out of him is not at all surprising, and at 3% ownership, expecting to get like 36 minutes feels pretty good. Joe Harris, 3%, none for me.
I can't imagine I would have had any.
Two Harrises, the exact same percentage. What are the odds? Joe Harris, 3.14. Tobias Harris, 3.14. They're both high.
Hit that pie.
Hitting that pie.
3.14159. I can't go any further anymore. Trying to
2.85759, and then I always lose it again after that.
Yeah.
DJ Augustine, 2.8.
That's where it should be.
Yeah. Redick, 1.6.
I mean, I'd never have him.
Yep. Isaac, 1.6. Yeah, that was that. By the way, that one day it got blown out of the water by our love for TJ McConnell, who shat himself.
Yeah.
But remember that day where people were coming at, I think it was you and me, for just shitting on JJ Redick. Yeah. Like, I want none. Yeah. He had 8 fantasy points.
Yeah. McConnell didn't end up with the icicle next to his name.
Yes.
Snowflake. Why would I call it an icicle? It's clearly not an icicle.
That's fair. It's Michael Carter Williams, 1.2%.
I love that I mocked him, and then he actually did go out and get a decent day.
Revenge, most sweet. Jared Allen, 1.16. I like him at 1.16. Like,
yeah,
it's not a good matchup.
I would have had like an amount, like an actual, like probably I would have had
10.
Yeah, probably 10 to 12. I think I had 11 maybe or 10. Morning when we started.
Obviously, tough spot, but he's had a double in it 2 out of the last 3 times, if memory serves. Like, it's not certainly desperate. Again, Mitch would have made that really hard for me, but I hear you. Karras the Green, 0.7.
I'll pass.
Wayne Ellington, 0.4.
Yeah.
Ish Smith, 0.4. Rodion Skurix, 0.3.
I'd rather have Ish Smith out of all those people you're naming.
Yeah, if I had to pick one of these, it certainly would be over Rondé Hollis Jefferson 0.2 and Jared Dudley 0.16. Mike Scott 0.14. Is that how you played yourself? Is he playing? I know he was.
I have him in.
Okay, he was. He left the last game with a thing, and for some reason, I thought the thing might have still been bothering him. But
yeah, I have him in.
Okay, then I will continue. Then it goes on. Where the hell did I leave off? There we are. Jared Dudley, Mike Scott, Boban Marjanovic 0.12. Shout out to my puppy. TJ McConnell 0.12. Langston Galloway 0.09. Thon McCurr 0.07. Wes Iwundu 0.07. Bruce Brown 0.05, Jonah Bolden 0.02, Kem Birch 0.02, Shake Milton 0.02, Trevion Graham 0.02, Amir Johnson 0.02, Jonathan Simmons 0.01, Shabazz Napier 0.01, Jerian Grant 0.01, Jose Calderon 0.01, Melvin Frazier 0.01, Zaza Pachulia 0.01. Nobody played themselves.
Wow.
Like
I think that's the only time, and I think it's the only time that it's happened with you and I.
Yeah, it's I believe the third time this year. Nobody played themselves.
That's the way to go out.
Exactly. We perfected it on the last show, both the audience and us and the people joining the largest DK tournament. I'm not going to say that I think your shares of Amir Johnson, Jose Calderon, Melvin Frazier, and Shabazz Napier portend well for your success.
But not a lot of flame emojis coming up on those names.
You have not technically played yourself.
No, but let's be clear here, everybody. You did.
You did.
You did, in fact.
You did. Well, there it is, my friend. Good year.
Yeah, very, very. This was a really fun show.
Yes, it was.
And it ended perfectly.
It did. Full Kurt Hennig style.
Yeah, if I had gum, I would spit it and slap it out of the air.
Oh my God, I was right with you. As soon as you said if I had gum, I don't know if you can see me.
I didn't.
But I did the spit swipe with my hand thing as soon as you said if I had gum.
If you're in a public place and you're chewing gum, 100 times out of 100?
What's amazing, that's not that easy. The spit is the tough part, getting some sort of consistent launch angle.
Yeah.
And velocity.
Keeping it close to you is way more difficult than it seems.
Oh my God. For those who don't know what we're talking about, Kurt Hennig, who wrestled as Mr. Perfect in the 80s and early 90s, had this thing where he was walking through the ring chewing gum, and he would, sometimes without looking, spit it out of his mouth and then smack it with his hand as it fell through the air.
Yeah. Which
you would think, well, that doesn't sound that impressive. Try it sometimes. And he would do it, while walking through a crowd with pyro going and shit. And I was always like, God damn, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's why he was perfect.
For those videos with him throwing a football and catching it himself.
It's fantastic.
Making a 3-pointer.
Fantastic.
So he was so good in the ring too. He got hurt, his back went, but those first few years, they screwed he was supposed to win the Rumble once. He was supposed to get a title, and both him and DiBiase, who again I've been lucky enough to share the ring with. But him and Ted,
HBK match, that Bret Hart match.
Oh God, the SummerSlam '91 or whatever we were talking about there. Those guys were just how deep that mid card was back then. When you had Hogan and Warrior on top, but behind that you had Perfect and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Jake the Snake Roberts and Ted DiBiase. Oh, I mean,
Jannetty, even like at that point in time, still like
he could work. He was coked out of his brain, but it didn't hurt him for a few years.
I mean, Von Erich was a shell of himself at that point, but
Kerry, Texas Tornado,
Tito Santana, Rick Martel.
That's what you and I should get back together for, by the way, the WrestleMania show. That's what.
I will be sitting at my house with my former college roommate, flying into town that weekend.
Really? That's pretty great. I will be on my anniversary, which is April 7th. I just realized. That plan has a hole. I'm going to have to work on that.
Yeah, good luck there. That's going to be a tricky one. At least it's... I mean, how big is WrestleMania, really? They have wrestling all the time.
So good. Women's main event.
Yeah.
The women are so good. Not even setting aside the social justice warrior part of me. Oh my God, the women's wrestling division is so good. It's so good. Like, it's better than the men frequently.
I'm really hoping for a victory from the man there.
You go from, you're Baki.
Mhm.
You go from like the 80s where you had two women who could wrestle at all. Like literally,
Yeah.
they were terrible.
Unless
To
you
the
were on a
90s
different
where you had,
continent.
yeah, like in the 90s, you had five women who could wrestle. Like Molly Holly could go and Gail Kim could go, and there were like some guys, but still mostly boobs, pillow
Whoa. Joel Embiid has 24 fantasy points in 5 minutes.
fight.
He's got 14, 4, and 1 with a steal.
That'll do, pig.
Sorry.
No, that's worth. That's Jesus, Jiminy Christmas. Well, there you go. I mean, I liked him a ton. You liked him.
Yo, I think he just scored again. Yeah, he's got 25 and a quarter now.
He's got 25 and a quarter in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That seems good.
With
He's on pace for
6:56 to go.
170.
No, with 7:09 to go in the first quarter.
451. Okay, that seems good. Let me ask you a question. What's the score in the game?
19 to 11.
Okay, not I was
Yeah.
worried
I
you were
mean,
going to
if
say.
Embiid has 25 and a quarter at this point in time, they're obviously winning.
Well, right. Well, I'm
So
worried.
that's closer than I would have expected.
Right. I was worried you were going to hit me with 26-6, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't.
I'm worried.
8 is pretty manageable for that kind of thumping so far.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good stuff there.
Wait.
Yeah.
These plays
But yeah,
are ridiculous.
women's wrestling we were on to now when there's like Jesus Christ, there's 27 women in the WWE who can wrestle very well.
Yeah.
Some of the shit they put on is just incredible. Even shout out to Ronda Rousey for someone who's been doing it for.
She's been fantastic for the amount of time that she's been in this industry.
Yeah, you can tell she's a real athlete. But last year, maybe the best celebrity match ever. Floyd Mayweather Big Show. That was really good.
So super underrated. Man,
So
he
good.
really busted him up too.
He did. Floyd. So they did again. Those who don't know what we're referring to, Floyd Money Mayweather wrestled the Big Show at WrestleMania, and again, Floyd Mayweather is at 5'9", 150 pounds. I'm ballparking.
I think you are way too tall, but I could be wrong.
But anyhow, and then the Big Show is legitimately probably 6'11", 4 1/4. And they did a match, and in the build up to the match, Big Show was taunting him and went like, "Go ahead and hit me." And Floyd let a combo go and broke his nose. He's bleeding everywhere. Like,
yeah.
It was like in the actual match, for as good of a wrestling match / boxing match / weird ass match as you thought you could get out of those two guys, it exceeded expectations. So that was really good. But Ronda Rousey,
Floyd's 5'8", by the way. So
I
thought he was like, for some reason I thought he was even smaller than that.
Like Pacquiao, I think is like 5'5".
That sounds right to me.
Really down there, but
well, decent baseball day. I binked the quarter tournament.
Hey, there you go. Is that good for like $400? Something like that.
1,000.
Hey, there you go. Way to go.
Yeah. So
who is your pitcher?
Max Scherzer, who I was specifically told not to use today.
Who told you not to use him?
I don't know. The public.
He was. My secondary. He had the Mets.
How? That's fun. That's fun.
All I know is my boy Elvis Andrus got a home run. My favorite baseball player. So way to go, Elvis.
I used to be a really big fan as a Braves fan.
Yeah. Him and Beltray, my favorite little fun combo.
There we go. Oh God, so
Dennis
good.
Smith Jr. is not starting, I believe. Someone asked in the premium chat if you're listening to the show. Moutier is going to start, but I don't want to play. I mean, I guess small slates you're going to have to start looking at them, but main slate I had no interest in those two players.
Oh yeah, Kansas City game still going.
Oh my God, you so jinxed yourself. Oh, it's going to be the worst beat ever.
Yeah, this one's going to be rough. I'll delete this video. I didn't realize the Kansas City game was still going on. Forgot about the delayed start.
Embiid.
1-0 top of the 6th. So
all right,
let's just keep that shit on the low.
Well, they had some rain, I presume.
Yes, a little bit.
Low butt. All right, my friend. Well, you've had a long day. I shall release you.
Yes. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you sticking around with us. I'm gonna go eat some dinner.
All right, man. You take care. Thanks, everyone, for being here all year. I will be back tomorrow, and you will too, just for a different sport.
Yep. Adios, everybody.